everybody. We are live, and I am so excited for my interview today. This is Miss Sana with Mrs. Perfectly Imperfect Keto, and I have been on her channel, but she has not been on mine. So,
No.
hi, Sana. Welcome, and I'm so glad that you had some time to sit down and meet with me today. How are you doing?
I am doing great. Happy it's a short week, most definitely. I know you said that you have off the entire week. I
Yes.
am definitely looking forward to getting off work on Wednesday. Grateful, thankful for a short work week. But
Oh,
yes, thank you so much for reaching out and having me on. I appreciate it.
that's awesome. So you get Thanksgiving and then Black Friday. You get those days off?
Yes,
Okay,
those
that's
2 days
cool.
off.
Yeah, that's like the traditional. That's what we used to get. I mean, the summer just gets shorter and shorter as a teacher because they keep, but then we get like a whole week at Thanksgiving and a whole week
Right.
in February. So we get, different breaks. I don't know, kind of depends. But then the summer ends up being not what it used to be. Well, we have some people in here. So yeah, hi, Uncle Big Guy. Nice to see you. Just wanted to say hi. And we have a few other people watching. So I think I would like to hear about your health journey. Would you mind telling us a little bit about that and where this all started and how you got from keto to carnivore?
Yes, and I apologize for anyone in advance that's heard this story before. But, I start from the beginning only because, this journey did not start specific to just me. And, I think it's important for people to know about that. But yes, we actually came across keto because our son, that you and I just kind of spoke about a little bit,
Mhm.
because our sons are a month apart, but are just newly turned 15-year-old. He was 9 years old at the time. I don't know if you froze as well.
Yes,
I just
I
noticed a little
didn't freeze,
freeze.
but you froze.
Oh, okay.
But
I,
you're
I, I
back.
I don't know what. Okay, perfect. I just wanted to make sure. But he was 9 years old at the time that he just started out of the blue just getting seizures. He had really severe seizure episodes, to the point where he literally would just clamp his mouth down, could not breathe, um, turn, the typical point of like a purple bluish color to his face, to the point where I had to literally get on top of him and open up his airway until the ambulance came. So after going through so many episodes like that, kind of just to make like the long ordeal that we went through a little bit short, but we went to, I can't even tell you how many specialists.
Mhm.
We went to the best of the best specialists because, of course, this was our 9-year-old child. We sought out who the best was. They could not figure exactly what was going on. But then again, the very final one that we ended up going to wanted to prescribe medication. Here we have a 9-year-old child, wanted to give him 2 capsules to take 3 times a day. So here we have an equivalent of 6, very large. The pills were like what people typically call like horse pills.
Mhm.
Um, just to kind of give this sizing reference, 6 pills a day for a 9-year-old child, and you do not even have a diagnosis. You're not even giving the parents any answers. Why are you giving this medication?
Mm-mm.
Like, what exactly is this medication for? Like, what are we helping? So it's not that I was trying to come off, anti-medication. Tell me, like, what is leading you to the plan of care to give
Mhm.
this child 6 pills to take every single day? Um, no answers. So I refused. I said, all right. I said, I'm sorry, but I am not going to give him medication when you can't even give me a clear answer. It was kind of, a let's try it out kind of thing. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to have my child be a rat lab and for you to basically experiment when it comes to medication. It could make him worse for all we know. And I wasn't willing. to have him be that experimentation because he already was going through enough being a 9-year-old. So I did, what any parent would do, searched for answers, took to Google, took to just, the internet, researched like crazy when it came to seizures, when it came to, children just, mysteriously just having illnesses just come about. Lo and behold, I came across a lot of studies where the ketogenic way of eating was used for a lot of different things like epilepsy, seizures. There was just a slew of information that was coming up. Little by little, it led me to Dr. Berg, Dr. Barry, and I researched for probably like 5, 6 months worth, spoke to my husband about it, and I told him, you know what? We're going to try this. What do we have to lose? We're not buying a program. We're not investing money into a program. This is not set up to be a fad program that we're going to be doing. Everything I have heard, everything I've researched is just eating real food. What could be bad about that? Either it works or it doesn't work. But the way I see it, we're not investing, into something that's going to end up costing us more than just purchasing real food that is available at the grocery store.
Right.
So we went for it. It was January 5th of 2019 that as a complete household, we ended up starting keto. So as you can imagine, not only did it benefit our child to the point where as soon as he started keto, I want to say within like the first 90 days to 4 months, did not have one seizure.
Wow.
It was that
amazing.
instant.
And how often was he having seizures prior to that?
He literally would have a seizure at least anywhere from like 2 to 3 times a week is what he would have.
Wow.
So it got to the point where I just learned what to do in those moments. Because, we can't be having an ambulance come 2 to 3 times a week.
Right.
So it got to the point where I literally just had to be his intervention. In the meantime, is basically what we had to do. And he transformed big time. You could start to see just his complexion even change. So it definitely was a connection with something he was eating. We primarily cook at home, just myself culturally, as well as my husband. Like that's what we've always kind of just were raised into. You cook at home. If you do go out to eat, it's very rare. Those are kind of like special occasion kind of things when you go out to eat. But it's nothing that we would have frequently done. But still yet, we have to figure a lot of sauces and seasonings, there's still things sneaking in. Drinks when it comes to kids.
I was going to ask about seed oils because, like, I didn't know the first thing about seed oils until I got into like Dr. Barry a few months ago. Did you have seed oils and stuff in your house?
Not because we were not big on frying. I mean, if we did, it was like extra virgin olive oil.
Okay.
Was what we had used. So we were not big on frying anything. But when I tell you, he noticed a huge difference. And, as a kid because by that point, by that 3 to 4 month mark, he did turn 10 and still to be a young child and for him to get emotional about it because he did. And he was just overjoyed with happiness. And then he started seeing myself as well as his dad also changing. We both, between my husband and myself, we both were taking off a lot of weight. Myself, within 15 months of starting keto, I had lost 101 pounds. My
Wow.
husband, he lost like 60 somewhat pounds. Um, and to this day, he's lost definitely more than that. But just, in the first initial, time frame of us starting, that was huge, because going from still yet eating at home to now just changing up what you're cooking at home made such a huge difference and made such a huge impact. But personally, for me to kind of answer the question of from keto to carnivore, my family, they're still keto. I did make the change to carnivore starting January of this year. So, starting January 1st of this year, 2023, I had chose to go carnivore because I started having issues on my keto journey. I started getting IBS, which is irritable bowel syndrome. I felt like it kept me like a prisoner in my house. I started getting a lot of aches and pains. So there was something going on with keto that I needed to experiment with. So it's nothing against keto because
Right.
obviously my family still does keto, but it just was no longer working for me. There was something about it that my body just was not liking anymore. Thankfully, still yet, being part of this proper human diet community, I saw that ketovore was an option. So I tried to get more meat heavy, but still kept the veg, still had issues.
Mm.
So that led me to believe, okay, possibly it's the veg.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of eliminating one veg at a time, I said, you know what? I'm just going to get rid of it all. And that's what started with January 1st. I decided to start off with triple B&E, which is
Okay.
beef, butter, bacon, and egg. I did have to do an elimination of bacon as well because myself, as well as our kids, are allergic to pig. So I did not incorporate any bacon, but still, yet, I did it for 60 days worth. And then after 60 days worth, that's what kind of led me up into slow reintroductions at a time. When it came to like single ingredient seasonings, I slowly incorporated chicken and then seafood, and then ended up reintroducing dairy one at a time, is what I ended up doing and never had any issues. I
Okay.
want to say by week 3, I had a limited mobility issue where I literally, at that point, I had such bad pain that I could not even leave the house. And
Wow.
then having it be a mix of the irritable bowel syndrome issue being tied in with being in pain,
Yeah.
I did not want to leave the house. I just felt so uncomfortable in my own body, that I just basically, like I said, I literally stayed a prisoner in my own house. Me and my husband, we laugh about it now, but we joke and we make laughter because literally, like, he would go to the grocery store
Mm-hmm.
and we would be on video chat as he was going around the grocery store. That way I can still be involved in the shopping trips and still figure, possibly, what we need to cook for the household. And that was life for me for a really long time. So to 3 weeks in to carnivore, to not limp, to be able to put just the flat footings down of my feet and not feel any pain at all,
Wow.
it was amazing. In just the third week. So that had me figuring, okay, like obviously this is working. I'm going to keep going. So that's why my first intent of only doing it for 30 days of triple B&E, it ended up being 60 days.
Yeah.
Once I completed the 60 days, that was the complete tell all that carnivore was going to be it for me after that. Because to have the pain go on, to see my body recomposition. changing in ways that my 4 years of keto that I
Mm-hmm.
did not show any recompositioning like I have now in
Mm-hmm.
less than a year. It was encouragement to just keep going at it.
So even though you lost 100 pounds on keto, you didn't, I don't know. Are you talking about like when you say body recompositioning, are
Hmm.
you talking about like your body shape? Like
My body
where things,
shape,
okay, okay.
my body shape, because I could even tell you, I had shared photos of my 60 days, the before and the after of BB&E. And people were shocked because I was fully transparent because for me, I heal my mentality with the scale going
Mm-hmm.
into it. And, I needed to do things differently, because I think throughout keto, it was very easy for me to also become very obsessed with the scale. I also was very obsessed with tracking everything that I ate.
Mm-hmm.
I also became just very obsessed with also intermittent fasting. I felt like keto did not allow me to do it in a healthy way, because, if you allow, even if you're cooking all these keto items yourself, still yet not every day could very likely look the same on keto. And it's kind of when you're tracking, it's kind of like you're allowing room day to day as you're tracking
Mm-hmm.
for indulgences day to day.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that allows someone to almost, for me, now looking back on it, I felt to myself that yes, was I doing the ketogenic way of eating? Was I doing the best I was able to do for my body? Yes. Was I doing the best I could have done for my mentality? Absolutely not. Because I allowed myself to be obsessive. I allowed myself, um, to basically get in a place of being in a very unhealthy mentality. Because I made a lot of things about the scale during that part of my journey. So thankfully, with carnivore being more so a way of eating that is focused on the healing was
Mm-hmm.
huge for me because I needed that different approach. I needed to have a better mentality going into a way of eating, a new way of life. Um, and I am someone that suffered from mental health problems. I did go through a time where I did suffer with severe anxiety, very severe clinical depression. I don't mind ever telling anyone because, I feel it's really important to be very transparent. And, I always feel that anyone listening, there's that one person that can connect with it. So yeah, I'm open to say I did have a point in time where I was suicidal. I did have to seek out mental help. And I want to say that kind of getting into this, did carnivore heal my mental health? No. Did it take off a load that I was carrying? And did it really help get me on the path of mental health healing? It definitely did because the pains I was going through, the irritable bowel syndrome I was going through, that added so much burden
Mm-hmm.
that created the stress, that created the anxiety as well. So to have carnivore help with those, it makes it so much easier to focus on the mental health healing.
Yeah, absolutely. When I was keto, I came into it with my old mindset, and my old
Mm,
mindset was counting calories and calorie restricting, going through cycles of doing that, and then binging. Like when I just couldn't like restrict my calories anymore, like hunger always
right.
wins, right? So then I'd binge on the most unhealthy things. So I came into keto in February, but like not really knowing about the proper human diet, just like I need to lose a little weight kind of thing. So I brought that mentality with me. So I totally hear you when you're talking about the tracking and all of that. Now, I do think at the beginning of my keto journey, like I didn't know about the whole 20 carb or under a day and all of
Right.
that. So I was tracking to get a good feel for what that was. And I do think that part of it helped me. But on the same token, right, it's still because I had been so obsessive before, it didn't allow me to like get rid of that. And then when I got rid of the rest of the vegetables and things, that's when like I don't track anything. My weight goes up, my weight goes down. I don't stress out about it. I don't weigh every day. I used to weigh every day several times a day. Like, yeah, it was bad. That relationship with the scale, you know.
I feel the same way because I used to have apps on my phone, like not only for the food logging and tracking, but also for the weight component of it. And then I used to basically measure it down to what the BMI was, what the body fat percentage was, aside from how much pounds I was. So it definitely could be something that you can make very obsessive. And, you know, just like you're mentioning with the tracking, it is helpful. You know, it is kind of like a starting point for some to get an idea, to kind of have like a ballpark idea. But for me, the way that I was doing it and the way I was just so strategically weighing things. And sometimes, like my husband, you know, he would tease me sometimes, just like not even thinking about it. You know, it's not like he would tease me and you know intentionally do something to take it from my plate. But there would be times where I would have weighed out what I had on my plate, and he would come by, and just like a husband would tease that, you know, they're grabbing a piece of something off of your plate, only because it looks good. I would get snappy out of nowhere and I'll be like, what are you doing? You know, I just weighed that. I already tracked it all. I already logged it all. But then I'm looking back at it now and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, look what it was doing to me. Like, I did not realize those kind of things, but because you become just so just stern and strict on yourself that it's kind of like, no matter, even if it was like a family member, it was my husband, imagine, you know, the connection you're supposed to have with your spouse. And here I snapped to him over food, over food. It's not that there was not any other portion left of whatever I cooked. It was a fact of the matter because I was so strict and so obsessive over the tracking. And for me personally, it got to be very unhealthy. So I'm not bashing anyone that tracks, anyone that chooses to track. You know, you do you. Kind of mentality. If it works for you, I am more than happy for you. But for me personally, it was no longer a healthy place for me.
Yeah. Let us know in the chat if you track. Like my mom tracked. My mom started a couple months after I did. She tracked longer than I did. She's recently stopped tracking, but she said probably like in a month, she's going to do it just for a couple of weeks just to see, like, is she still on track? Because now she thinks she has a good handle, right, on her macros. By the way, she's keto, not carnivore. But it's like after not tracking for a month, she wants to see if she's still on point with what she, you know, thinks is, you know, good on the fats and all of that. So I think now she's in a good place where she's kind of going back and forth. I enjoy it. To me on carnivore, it's like so much more freeing because I'm okay. Like I can't say I'm zero carb because I have some heavy cream. Yeah. I do have some cheese from time to time or whatever. But it's nowhere near, like, I don't have to worry about keeping it under 20. So what is there to track, you know? And
exactly.
So, and now it's like,
I feel the same.
Yeah. I'm to a point now that it's like, it doesn't like matter. It doesn't, yeah. When I'm hungry, I eat. When I'm full, I stop eating and I don't worry about that. And I don't worry about, are my pants going to fit the next day? Do I, you know, none of that because what I'm eating is healthy for me. So yeah, it's amazing. Mama Cracker came in right when you were talking about no seizures. And so the first thing was woohoo. And then
thank you.
And then she said, good meet all. I would have said hi first, but that no seizure statement brought out a woohoo. So awesome.
Yes, it's super, super exciting for us because you can only imagine, he's going to be 5 years keto come this January, come the new year, for himself as well as his brother and his father. So to not have any seizures in 5 years' time,
Wow.
and keto was the main component, there's nothing else he's done other than
Wow.
keto.
I was going to ask if he had had like any more seizures. So he was going from 2 to
Nothing,
3 seizures a week to like not one single seizure in 5 years.
nothing,
Wow.
nothing,
That's
nothing.
amazing. Well, there's something else I wanted to talk with you about that I feel like we have in common. And I know you don't use the word challenge. I do use the
Yeah.
word challenge. However, I do think it's a similar concept. So in September, I had so much energy after being carnivore for a couple of months. I'm like, what am I going to do with all of this? And so I started doing like month-long challenges, but I'll tell you, those have kind of evolved. So I started with my sprinting challenge in September and I enjoyed that. And then some people like came alongside me. So then in October, I started incorporating, like other people and making this community. And then this month, I've got a couple different ones going. And I think it kind of keeps me motivated with my fitness so that I don't get bored, for one
Right.
thing. It also keeps me accountable. But it also keeps me branching out at the same time because like this month I'm doing hula hoops and planks, and last month I did squats and push-ups. So it just kind of keeps me like changing up. And now I'm thinking, well, what other kind of challenges might there be besides fitness? Like I'm gonna keep going with my fitness. But I know
Right.
last month you did, was it alternate day fasting, I think? And
I
then,
did.
yeah, you want to talk about that and then also maybe a little bit what you're doing now?
Yes. So I did slowly make a transition and an approach to doing intermittent fasting in a healthy way. Because as I previously said, when things kind of went out of whack with keto, you can only imagine, everything that I went through. I did start to put on weight. So I actually put on 42 pounds out of that 101 pounds that I
Mm,
initially had lost on keto. So that's kind of where the obsession and the unhealthy relationship kind of came in with intermittent fasting, because I started doing hardcore extended fasting. And
mm,
I felt like it was kind of at the time, it was kind of a way that I kind of put punishment on myself. Here I gained the 42 pounds and I was going to take drastic measures, and intermittent fasting was going to be my tool of
mm,
taking drastic measures to try and take that weight off, because that is when the fad diet mentality kicked back into play with me. So it was really important for me that little by little, as I went on in my carnivore journey, was to take things one at a time
mhm,
to heal things that I had an unhealthy relationship with. So with intermittent fasting, I first initially started off with doing OMAD, which was 1 meal a day. Once I felt that I had a good mental health relationship with consistently doing OMAD, I figured, okay, let me go a little further. So that's when I decided to do alternate day fasting, which simply is you are fasting one day and you're having the alternate day be what they call a feast day. But it's basically just your eat day, is what I like to consider it. Um, just to kind of have a good term to it versus feasting, because when you think of feasting, it's kind of, feeling like you're going to go on a binge.
yeah, like
But it was
extra
just
food.
extra food, exactly. So for me, it was really important, also terminology wise, to kind of consider it an eat day, just to have a good, healthy mental approach to it. But for me, I did it for the entire month, and I focused just day to day. I didn't put the pressure on myself that, oh, I committed to 30 days. Oh, I announced to everybody, this is what I'm going to do, and I got to stick it out for the whole 30 days. I didn't put that pressure on myself. I told myself, you know what? We announced it to take accountability for it,
Mm-hmm.
that we are going to start off with this as the next thing that we're going to see, because now this is going to be extended fasting. Because to me, the OMAD, some consider extended because, they do on average maybe 16 to 18 hours of fasting. So to kind of have upwards of 23 plus hours, some consider that extended because you're almost practically at the 24-hour mark. But for me, I consider more so extended is in the range of like 36 plus hours, because then you're kind of getting into a whole nother day of complete fasting before you actually go into your next day of eating. But I kept consistent with it. I did still stay on carnivore. So that was my incorporation, was just the alternate day fasting with my carnivore journey. I did only do it for just the month worth, because what I did notice was, even though it did allow for drastic weight loss, I noticed I started losing the recompositioning. So my body shaping, that carnivore just naturally was giving me,
Mm-hmm.
the extended fasting was taking away
Hmm.
the good body shape that carnivore kept me at.
Okay.
Um, and I did not want to compromise, or I did not want to lose that. I did not want to get into a place of having any quick or rapid weight loss. Everyone's going to be different. Some, they want to see that number on the scale go down drastically,
Mm-hmm.
because to them, that is ultimately their sign that they're doing good, that they're on the right path. But for me, the point that I'm at in my journey is to like who I see when I see my reflection. I want to be able to feel good in my body.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the shape of my body is really important to me. Um, and to have, that part of my identity, because I am part Turkish and part Indian. And I've always had a curve to my body. Even when I was slim, I still had curves to my body.
Mm-hmm.
That was just part of my cultural identity, and I don't want to lose that. And I felt like having that rapid weight loss, I was losing too quick with
Interesting.
alternate day fasting and carnivore. So I did say, for anyone that does not have that wanting for, their body shape not changing so drastically, carnivore with alternate day fasting is exceptional. It literally kick things into like overdrive in
Yeah.
terms of scale results. It's just long term, it was not for me. Do I have any regret that I did it? Absolutely not, because, I did commit to the 30 days. I was able to prove to myself, mental health wise, I
Mm-hmm.
was able to have a good relationship with extended fasting. It just ended up not being for me.
Yeah. A question: how did you feel on your fasting days? Because I tried fasting. Maybe I
Hmm.
didn't. I don't know. Just because you get into this community and you hear about the different, N equals ones that people are doing, and then you want to try it, right? And I tried several times. I think at one time I got to 48 hours, 36 hours a few times, but I never felt good. I always felt starving, exhausted, and miserable.
Mm.
So I haven't fasted in a while. I usually do 2 meals a day. And it just, my eating window just depends on if I'm hungry. Like, I was hungry this morning at like 8 o'clock, and I'm starting to get hungry now. So I'll probably eat after this. So my eating window today is going to be quite wide. I usually keep it to about 6 hours. when I'm working, I can't always do that. I could have done that today, but I wasn't hungry earlier. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
So I
right.
didn't eat, but now I'm hungry. So after this, I'm going to go eat. I'm not worried about it. But I just found myself on days when I was fasting just to be hungry and miserable and, no fun to be around, I'm sure. Did you
Yes.
experience, did you feel good or?
Well, I will say because I did have the advantage that I was able to compare intermittent fasting, especially extended intermittent fasting, while on carnivore versus doing it on keto.
Okay.
I will say for me, I did notice it was a lot easier on carnivore because we are, that eat day, you are eating till comfortably stuffed.
Okay.
Also having fatty cuts of meat is also keeping you very full. So for me, there were points in time where it ended up being like that the next day, I basically went in having my brunch
Mm-hmm.
and I skipped dinner. So there
Hmm.
was a few times throughout that 30 days that I skipped dinner because I was just so full just by having whatever brunch I went in with
Mm-hmm.
that I said to myself, I'm not going to eat just to eat because I'm not truly hungry because, initially starting carnivore, you learn what is a true hunger cue
Mm-hmm.
and what is basically, I just want to eat just to eat.
Right.
Kind of like a boredom kind of thing, or just to, just to appease to having, just something to chew on or something to, just have our belly have that complete full satisfied feeling, but it's not true hunger.
Right.
It's just wanting to have that comfort, that feeling like a void almost, if you
Yeah.
will.
Yeah.
But it was so easy for me in comparison to doing the extended fasting on keto. Um, and I would say, other than doing it as the alternate day, I mean, even now, like I fluctuate between like you do the 2 meals a day. I would say I frequently do 2 meals a day. Um, but a lot of times, I do have to end up doing 1 meal a day, depending on what I ate. Like if I went in with a fatty cut of ribeye,
Mm-hmm.
that stuffs me up just having that fatty cut of ribeye, like especially if it's a substantial piece of ribeye, my body like just is telling me like this is enough. Like you fed me what I needed and I am able to work with this.
Yeah. I tried pork belly for the first time yesterday.
Okay.
And then I had plans to be live later to like do like a Friendsgiving where we were going to eat together. So when I did the pork belly in the morning, I had like two strips of it. They were like, I don't know how long they were, but like the length
Right.
of a piece of bacon, but like thick, right? Two of those. And oh my gosh, like I've never had pork belly before, so I didn't know, but I just ate two pieces. I'm like, okay, I should be good to eat at like 4 p.m. later because it was like 6 hours had gone by. I
Right.
was so full, but like I put some food on my plate. I did eat it because that was the whole purpose of the live, but it wasn't nearly what I would normally have eaten for dinner. I think it must be all the fat in the pork. I don't know, but it was good and
Yeah.
everything. But I was not like, yes, I agree with you on the ribeye, but this pork belly just had me full, like
It's
all day.
shocking, the just the reaction our body has to just the fat
Mm-hmm.
being just so filling.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm telling you, when it comes to like 80/20 ratio burger patties, I can down like probably like 6 to 8 of them.
Mm-hmm.
But if you give me like a ratio, like a 70/30, maybe like 4 or 5.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's just because of just that extra fat. It's just
Yeah.
it really your body reacts that, wow, like this really filled me up and this is all I needed. Like you don't have to give me anything else.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think I saw you got some 70/30 patties at Aldi. I'm gonna have to go look there because we have Aldi, and I'm like, oh, I didn't know they had those there. Mostly I get
Yeah,
the 80/20 just because that's the most. I don't
right.
know. That's like what's the most available. I stay away from the 85/15. and
Oh
go
yeah,
from
yeah.
20. But yeah, that I'm gonna have to try that and see. I'm gonna try that experiment and see if I can eat fewer 70/30 patties.
I'm curious to see how your body responds.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. So this month I just was watching before this your commitment. I'm like, what's the word she used? Because she didn't say challenge. Your commitment, and it's more than just for November. I thought this was a fantastic idea because a lot of people have been doing videos about their plans for the holidays. You know, some people are planning to have a piece of pumpkin pie and then get right back on. Other people are planning to stay, stay the course and stay on plan.
Right.
So I've heard about, how they're going to do that. It usually involves like what I'm doing. Like I'm just bringing picanha to Thanksgiving to make sure there's something I like. My mom is doing turkey. Like I said, she's keto. So, she's going to cook it. She's not going to stuff it or anything like that. My brothers are bringing carb loaded things and that's fine. They can do that for themselves.
Right.
But yeah, between the turkey and the picanha and the charcuterie board that I'm going to bring, like I know I'm going to be good. But like I planned for that day. Like you planned for the season. And I think you're the first person I've heard say that. I would love to hear more about that.
Yes. So what you're mentioning is, yes, I did call it commitment, because as I said, with my mental health healing, even though I did get professional help, and I no longer get the professional help, still yet, I will never say my mental health is completely healed. I always consider I am a work in progress
Mhm.
because that's how I want to consider myself. As I mentioned, I did have an episode of time that I was suicidal. So I feel like every single day I don't have those thoughts. Every single day that I wake up and I appreciate my life, I am grateful for my life. I am in tune to know how blessed I am to have the life I have, to have the people I have in my life. Um, that really kind of set the tone and just my mentality for wanting to do something going into my first holidays being on carnivore.
Mhm.
Because I knew it was going to be very different, because we're focused on the meat. Yes, do we have some cheeses? Like you mentioned, the charcuterie board, that definitely has a different variety of meats, variety of cheeses. Um, so it definitely does not lack variety, of what we can incorporate on the holidays. But still, yet it is going to be very different than my previous 4 years being on keto, because obviously keto had a lot more variety because you had a slew of side dishes, a slew of desserts that were able to be made, to almost look like what a standard American diet Thanksgiving would look like, or even a Christmas dinner would look like. So it was really important for me to find something to do as a commitment, um, that did not have a challenge feel to it, like beef, butter, bacon, and egg would have, or, like some of the other challenges that some do out there. So I was on the hunt for finding something, um, that that really spoke to me. I really wanted to find something that had a special meaning to doing something as a commitment for the holidays. And I came across Nutrition with Judy Cho.
Mhm.
She has Carnivore 75 Hard. And what really had me just connected to it. And I do have the video, as you mentioned, and I do have her links, because she does have a video where she does an exceptional job, just kind of going through what the entire commitment entails. So if anyone's interested, definitely check out her video. But it is very focused on not just keeping focused on a carnivore way of eating for the 75 days, but you're incorporating physical activity, where a portion of that 30 minutes of physical activity, 15 minutes of it is a requirement to go outdoors. Have 15 minutes of it be outdoors. Because for me, that was huge because I could very, very, very well every single day be a homebody. I
Mhm.
work from home. So it's very easy for me to kind of get into the flow or the repetition of getting off of work, doing whatever housework I have to do, starting the cooking, help my kids with whatever schoolwork they have, doing laundry. And then before I know it, it's night out. I'm not
Mhm.
going to go out in the night.
Mhm.
So it can be very easy to kind of get into that repetition and not make any outdoor time for yourself. And I think what has been really unique and special about the outdoor time, even though it only asks for 15 minutes, I have noticed such a huge difference on what that outdoor time has just done. Just for almost, I don't want to get too cheesy with this, but it really fills your soul
Mm.
because you are just literally going with the intention of just having 15 minutes of outdoor time. And just to have that time just to yourself because you're committing that time to yourself. She's not telling you, oh, go out and, you got to go outdoors and you got to go for a run or you got to go walk a mile. No, it is to have 15 minutes of activity outdoors, which that could be anything. You could go for a walk or,
Mhm.
you can go to the park and have a walk at the park or, have just any sort of outdoor time. But I think for me, that alone was refreshing because for me, it was important to do a commitment that changed things up completely, like full circle for me. So that outdoor time was huge.
Yeah.
Then another component she has is to do 16/8 of intermittent fasting. So for me, it was not being obsessive of anything too lengthy when it came to intermittent fasting. It was just simplicity of fasting for 16 hours and eating within an 8-hour window.
Mhm.
So even
That's
that,
pretty easy for you after your October, right? That's like nothing.
so for me, I mean, it allowed me to get back into a normal flow of things
Mhm.
with my eating times, my schedule, and then it allowed me to kind of bring things back, full circle again. That here, mental health wise, I experimented with the extended fasting, and then it allowed me to kind of come full circle again to coming
Mhm.
back to just the simplicity, you know, open your eating window at a normal time,
Mhm.
get my 2 meals in within a decent amount of time frame, and just try to make sure to close it off at 8 hours. So it's allowed for me to get back to such a good pattern and
Mhm.
just simplicity. Um, I'm making sure to follow my little calendar I have here. So just to kind of show everyone what I'm looking at, if
Uh,
you go on the link that I
mhm.
have in that video, she does have like templates that are available. They're free of charge, so it's still, nothing that has to be paid for, anything like that. But it allows you to nicely kind of tick each day off as you're doing it. So it's something, a little bit nice to keep accountability as you're going throughout the entire 75 days. The other two parts of it is you will record 3 daily gratitudes.
Okay.
And for me, someone that is in the progression stages of constant mental health healing, that was huge for me
Mm.
because a lot of times, we only focus on what we're grateful for certain times of the year. When it comes to Thanksgiving, when it comes to Christmas time, when it comes to New Year's. because throughout the new year, we're thinking, oh, like what didn't work out in this past year? And what do we hope for come the new year?
Mm-hmm.
It's always around the holiday time. For me, I felt like if I could commit to that for 75 days, doing 3 daily gratitudes, I figured that was something I will consistently keep up with
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like it's so important, especially on a better health journey, to always kind of be in tune with having gratitude. Because I feel like a lot of times we focus on, what skill victories we're having. We're focusing on like what the tape measure is saying. But a lot of times we don't connect with ourselves that we successfully stayed on plan any
Mm-hmm.
given day.
Mm-hmm.
That's huge right there. Compared to the way we were previously eating before, just committing to yourself to stay on plan each and every day, that needs to be celebrated. Uh, the fact that we do better for ourselves day after day, that's showing self-love, that's showing self-care. It's things like that. And I feel like, when you have that time that you're making for yourself to jot down those 3 daily gratitudes every single day,
Mm-hmm.
it is truly having you focus on the other side of what it is to have a better health journey. Because mentally, you're being in tune with
Mm-hmm.
everything that you're doing on this better health journey.
So writing those down has got to be helpful. I'm just looking at my little calendar here. You're like about 3 weeks in because tomorrow will be the
Yes.
21st. So do you notice an improvement in your overall, like, I think if I did that, it would help my overall outlook. I feel like I would be like looking at life more
Yes.
positively or even trying to find something, to look at it with that focus of being grateful for it.
It
Because you
has
don't do that normal.
it's definitely made a difference. The last little component of it was actually you do have to do one genuine compliment in person. So between everything I mentioned, between the outdoor time that I have to get in daily, journaling the 3 daily gratitudes, and then also giving an in-person genuine compliment each and every day,
Hmm.
it's not only making a difference just for me having that connection with myself,
Mm-hmm.
but then to see how I'm impacting another human being by giving them a compliment. Um, and I would say every single person, even like up until the in-person compliment I gave someone today, I stepped away from it very emotional.
Yeah.
Um, because I felt like each person I encountered, the feedback that I got from them,
Mm-hmm.
I don't like to get religious at all, but I felt like it was intended that I came across that particular person
Mm.
because the compliment I gave them, they were very open and very candid with me that they needed. They needed to hear something positive from somebody.
Wow. That's powerful.
It was not just a thank you. These people didn't just say, oh, thanks. Oh, that's so sweet of you. No, these people flat out told me. I even had one gentleman, he sobbed and he cried. Because he said he's been having a rough time lately.
Wow.
And he said he was like, you know what? He's like, bless you. He's like, bless you. He said that the fact that you are connecting with a perfect stranger and having such sweet words to tell me, he said, thank you. He's like, he's like, you've made the rest of my year, is what he told me.
Wow.
So when you have connections that you're having not only with yourself daily, but then, that commitment to make that connection with a perfect stranger,
Mm-hmm.
it's absolutely going to change you. And I just feel, just having the mental positivity and just basically, having a just positive overall well-being of your body is going to respond to whatever you're doing, especially when it comes to us eating carnivore. The food is good for us, but what are we doing to our
Mm-hmm.
mentality? What are we doing to ourselves emotionally? Um, you know, because stress alone and having bad mental health, for a lot of people, it doesn't matter what you do in terms of the food. You have to make sure your well-being, your mentality is okay as well, because it's going to make it only that much easier to keep up with this way of eating. I have a lot of people ask me, and I got a little bit of hate because some had, joked and they said, "Oh, well, I don't see why you have your channel name, Mrs. Perfectly Imperfect, because it seems like your mission is to be nothing but perfect." So I would question that and I would ask the person, what makes you think I'm trying to perceive myself as perfect? And they're like, well, you don't have an off plan day. Why don't you just go out and have something off plan or have something on the weekend? It's not worth it to me.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of freedom I've gained within my own body and just the mentality healing that I've gained, it's not worth having that little bit of time to enjoy, whatever standard American diet food there is out there. It's not worth it to me. So
Right.
it's not about being perfect. It's just I can't do that to my body. I can't do that to my mentality. And I think that is the main reason why I keep on plan is because of the mental health healing that I've been able to progress through. And, not only that, but to have those whys of why I keep on track, to be pain free is a huge one because now I have freedom to actually live my best life out there.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to have a few physical symptoms, nothing like you were experiencing, but like I definitely don't want to get them back, right? Like my hand would ache, my
Right.
knee would swell and ache, my feet would swell. That was miserable. And then the mental health, obviously, again, I had anxiety, nothing as deep as you had I with the depression. But that anxiety of like not wanting to be around people, all of that is like better. And so it's
Mm,
funny. It's like I said, I really, even though we've only spoken, this is only our second time speaking, but I do watch your stuff and I do feel this kinship with you. But it's funny because I had the same epiphany as what you were just saying. Like, okay, I have all this mental like clarity and energy and
mm,
health. Now, what am I going to do with it? Right. I
right.
was thinking of doing some kind of a challenge, like a kindness challenge in January. But I think listening to you, I think what I'm going to try, and I will fill you in. You're talking about the effect of what your words are having on other people around you. And I think when
Mm,
I go back to work next week, I'm going to put it in my little kids in my classes heads that they need to give somebody a compliment every day and report back to me. So we're going to see how that goes and if we can change a little bit of the culture
yeah.
at my school, if some fifth graders can just go out there and sprinkle some compliments
Yeah.
around the campus. So I'm going to start that a week from today when we go back, have them do that through the Christmas break. Um, I'm not going to tell anybody. Like, I'm not going to tell the principal. I'm just going to tell them that they're going to be the little kindness elves around campus and just see how that goes.
That'll be
Um,
awesome.
yeah,
That'll
I
be so
think
awesome. And they could even do it kind of like how in school we have like a book log. They can even
yes,
track it like the book
yes,
log, like that set up, and they can track it. And that way you have it also, visually for yourself, and then
yes.
their own accountability for the compliments they gave, because I think that's also important, even for kids, to write it down because, I grew up with it always being told to me, when things are on paper, black and white does not lie.
Mhm.
But I think it's also a way of reflection
Mhm.
that, once they finish, once they get to that end point, they can actually look back at their log and reflect
Mhm.
on it that, wow, like, look how many lives daily I change, or I brought happiness to, or I brought a smile, to each and every one of these people's faces that I have
Mhm.
logged on this piece of paper. So I think that's amazing. I'm so excited to hear the feedback of what they thought, and
Mhm.
just, the reactions that everyone gives them.
Yeah, because man, I'm telling you, what these kids, when they get in trouble is when they're out at recess. That's when the problem, they can't get along at soccer and they can't get along at handball and they can't get along at tetherball and everybody's calling everybody everything. And yeah, I bet if I challenge them to do that, because we do have some really nice kids.
Right.
Generally, like I'm making them sound like they're little monsters. They are not. We do have some awesome children, but sometimes they just don't know, like how to get along. Yes, Becky, I agree. It will be interesting to see. I've never tried anything exactly like this before. We have like a character trait of the month that we do and things like that, but I've never specifically challenged them to go out and do something like this. The counselor has done it like during kindness month, but it's so general. Like
Right.
I'm looking in their 30 sets of eyes, right? And I have a relationship with these kids. We're friends now. We've been together since August, and yeah, I'm excited. And I'll let you know for sure how it goes, because you definitely got that wheel going in my mind. I'm curious to see if other people around campus will notice, like if we don't advertise that we're doing it,
Mhm.
right? Like, will they?
I think it's a beautiful thing. I mean, especially because it's children, because I think, a lot of people, they badmouth, or they might stereotype the potential of our future generation. And, I think it's nice, that you're incorporating this with your class, because I think it's going to change a lot of mentalities as well
Yeah.
towards the young generation. So yeah, I'm all for it.
Yeah, awesome. Well, hey, before we sign off, so I know we've been going for an hour. Do you mind if I put your channel up and show everybody? Can you tell us what we can expect when we go to your channel? What you have, maybe your upcoming plans for your channel are? Would that be okay?
Yes, no, that's fine.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, I'm doing it. I'm just still getting with the
Okay.
sharing screen thing. Here we go. There we go. Hopefully that's loaded up there now and you guys can see.
So yeah, I do have a lot of content on there already, where I do like a lot of cooking videos. I do share a lot of information about just my complete transparency of my carnivore journey. I try to be as transparent and as open as I can. And, a lot of people, they do reach out to me via email. So I tell everyone, because I'm the type of person that, you know, I want to be able to change, even if it is that one person that is curious about carnivore, or even that's curious about doing a keto way of eating, because I still cook food for my keto family members, even though I have gone carnivore. So even if you have any keto questions, that is totally fine, because I don't have any issues with anyone doing keto. It just no longer worked for me. But definitely, if you want to reach out to me by email, my information is there, but you'll definitely find a lot of the content of cooking that I've done, what I eat in a days. We do have a lot of lives coming up. Cindy DeManch and we both do Friday night lives at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, as you'll see on some of those thumbnails there. And we do have Ellie coming up. So we're super excited for her
Woo,
coming on.
yay, Ellie. I love
So,
Ellie.
yeah, so as Cristie mentioned, she was on. So definitely you'll be able to find her live on there as well. If you want to go ahead and catch the replay for it, it was definitely a pleasure to have you on. And I just feel so honored that you reached out to me for me to be on your channel as well, because I feel like through these lives, we're able to definitely connect with each other in a completely different way than
Yeah.
we do within the comment section. It definitely gives a different feel and a different vibe. And then, of course, I thank all of you that showed up in the chat. Truly, wholeheartedly appreciate everybody's time for being here.
Yeah, there's a few people coming in. Hi, Susan E. I hope you're well. This is Carrie. Hi, Carrie.
Yes, hi, Carrie.
And then, yeah, Renee was
Renee.
Carrie. Renee, you just missed Nicole, too. Nicole had to hop out right before you came in. Well, Sana, thank you again for coming on and doing this talk with me. I hope we can do it again in the future on my channel or yours, either way.
Yes.
And I look forward to seeing how your 75 hard goes, because you got, you're just about 3 weeks in, but you got some time to go. And I'm excited to see the wrap up at the end and how that all went for you. So again, thanks for sharing your story. I know other people have probably heard it and you apologize for that, but I had not heard it all the way through in one go like that. So I definitely wanted to hear it right from you. So thank you for being willing to do that. And Carrie says, yes, I'm late, but for a good reason. Do you want a cool unicorn? Oh, Carrie. Maybe Carrie was hula hooping. That's what she was doing. Carrie and I are hula hooping this month. In case you didn't know, Sana, that's our fitness challenge.
Yes. When you were featuring the hula hooping, I had mentioned to you, I wish, because I've tried it in adulthood as well, and
yeah,
you'll have to probably teach me whatever trick you use to accomplish it, but I am not successful at hula hooping.
So we're gonna hula hoop part 2, you guys, in December. So stay tuned for that. We're gonna unbox a different kind of hula hoop together, and maybe that kind would work for you. It's the kind that fits a little tighter on your waist, and then there's like a weight that swings around rather than the whole hoop swinging around. I don't know if it's easier or harder because I haven't tried it yet. I'm waiting for mine to come. And Susan E says, my hoops all came. She ordered like a hula hoop and then like the smaller ones for your arms, just for the arms. So that's
I've just seen those.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to have to get some resistance bands at some point, but I'll probably do that at some point. But yeah, super cool. Okay, well, anyway, I just saw people popping up in the chat. I just wanted to acknowledge that. But again, thank you so much. And I guess we have been going for an hour and like 7 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and sign out. You guys have a great evening, and thanks for tuning in. And we will see you again soon, I'm sure.
Yes.